Every YouTube video essay needs a hook in the beginning. Something with a slightly relatable tone that sounds deeper than it actually is. I don't care, there are these small inconspicuous objects you have to pick up or interact with everywhere that only give you a little tiny ass faint glimmer, if that, so you can easily miss like a story progressing item if you don't pay enough attention. There's no giant arrow pointing at the key you need to pick up. The main guy just moves his stupid head slightly to look at it. That's it. That's the only hint you get. This is so subtle, and I'm also so idiot that I only noticed it like halfway through the game. Sounds annoying to have to watch out for every pixel with a slightly higher brightness. It's not actually. It makes you observe and pay attention to the environment. Hey, there's a VCR next to this TV, and I happen to have a VHS tape I picked up earlier. I think I can figure this out without the VCR having to flash neon green. When I started playing this game and got into that first building, I'm gonna be honest, I was just fucking Sonic the Hedgehog sprinting through those nasty ass hallways. And spoiler alert, they only get nastier because who in their right mind would want to stick around there? Well, turns out our protagonist, Jamie, is far from his right mind. So yeah, it didn't take long for me to ask myself, hey, wait, what do I do? Where do I go? Where's the obvious red door that I need to go through? I am too used to current games. I cannot handle this. The game is simply like, no. You have to go slow and check every door out of these 12,000 doors. Yes, every door. And surprise, surprise, it's not actually boring at all. It was a surprise like everything else because I am a giant coward and it took me 24 years to play this game. You know what? I'll just say it. I felt relief every time the game didn't let me go through a door. I thought, yes, please be more linear. Don't give me options. I am clinically retarded. I cannot handle walking through another door to find out there exists an even stupider camera placement than the previous. I actually love the camera. Okay, I either love it or despise it. There's not a single mediocre or let's just say normal camera placement in this game. It's either so weirdly bad but still kinda unique and good unless you're in combat where it's always just or just plain incredible. I don't know if I prefer to walk through a door and be presented with a horrifyingly disgusting hallway or the horrifyingly disgusting face of the main character. Those are basically the only two options you get, and the second one is like, who thought of this? Why am I looking at what's behind me but can't see what my character sees? But on second thought, you can't not admit it doesn't not add suspense, but only in this game ever. It's a whole ass concoction of design choices that allows me to even tolerate this bullshit. That other option I mentioned where you get jump scared by literal fucking motionless walls, I love it every single time. It's like a blend of the liminal space and trauma core aesthetic. I'm playing with a whole bunch of enhanced mods the community created because otherwise you can't even run this shit on PC because Konami something, I don't know, but imagine how much fucking uglier, and by that I mean better it looked with the original PS2 shit tier graphics. Actually, no need to imagine, we're in the digital era, so here's some footage. Oh, actually there's a third option when you walk through a door, and that's entering a room, and every single room you enter is so damn beautiful. It has a vibe, and yes, that vibe may be death and eternal despair, but it's still a goddamn vibe. And like I said, you might miss a tiny ass anal bead hiding in the corner that you'll later need to progress the game, so you better pay attention and actually absorb the room you're in. Just feel it and be there for a bit. When there's like a zoomed in scene and you pick up an item and it just fades away, it's like in fucking hidden object games. What, nobody's cared about those since they were created? Let's revive that fucking genre, by the way. Like, I don't even know if it's dead. I just assume it is because I personally haven't played it in a while. I'm sure it's still popping with Facebook grandmas. But I always love those for the same reason. Because they make you stop and observe and not just run past all the design that was put into the game. Because you kind of don't have any other options. That's like the whole fucking point. Here, stare at this picture and find a fucking nutcracker. And in the meantime, observe all the details that the artist put into it. Anyways, that's a whole ass different video, but what? Are the 5 people watching this gonna call me out for going on a tangent about a genre no one cares about? Please call me out. Comments help the algorithm. It doesn't even feel like a freaking game, you know what I mean? It's just like, hey, here's this experience. There isn't a bunch of code behind it. It's just a thing that exists somehow. You don't know until the credits start rolling that it's not actually Satan who designed these hallways. The monsters, they have symbolism, bro. Like, There's symbolism in the monsters. I don't exactly know what it is. I mean, you wouldn't get it. It's simple. I don't even like that there is a universal feeling of what is a game. It's all perfected and formulaic now, but in the ancient times of 2001, you had no idea what crazy shit a studio was gonna come up with, because they all just did their own thing with the limited resources they had. But they committed to it. Games were games for the purpose of being games, you know? Maybe I just grew up and learned how business works, but it feels like it's all the same shit nowadays. Okay, boomer. Yeah, like what? Your new game has more fucking pixels? Oh, and this one gameplay gimmick that all the marketing is gonna revolve around until it gets forgotten a year later. Cool. I love indie games. I do. I love indie games. But am I wrong to feel that nobody's trying to push the limit anymore or be this edgy with their concepts? Not the limit of hardware, not the technical limit. I mean the limit of creativity and what gaming as a medium can offer. Even with indies, it's like, okay, cool concept, but it lasted for 2 hours and they never really fully committed to it. There's a sea of other developers they have to compete with, their budget is low, and they don't even have proof of concept, yeah, blah, blah. I don't want to know about those things. I don't want your camera angles to be this weird for the purpose of standing out from other games. I want it all to have meaning. Silent Hill 2 feels like a big commitment, like they set out to tell this story and fuck your brain up, not come up with the statistically most engaging gameplay loop that'll keep you glued to the screen the longest while you're fed garbage repeating content for some cheap endorphins. The story has meaning. All the design choices have meaning. And this doesn't mean they're all good. Like, I'm sure if you look up reviews on YouTube, people will complain that Jameson's face is just a bit too punchable, but it doesn't matter. We always review things like, oh, here's the good and the bad, but that's not really how we perceive things intrinsically. Advantages and flaws don't hold the same value and are then weighed against each other. It's way more subjective than that. It's like some things might bother you, you might not even notice something that bothers someone else. There's not really much use talking about shit that way. Just experience this thing as a whole because it was designed to be experienced as a whole. Also, when you do, make sure to turn that fucking volume up and listen. Jesus fucking Christ. What? This music is... It's perfect. It's so crazy good. It's otherworldly. It's empty and lonely and eerie and nostalgic and perfect. It is amazing. So yeah, I rate the music a 10, the story a 10, the sexy nurse monster a 10, but Jonathan's face a -31, so unfortunately you can't play this game now.